On a quiet evening, you can sit at home and watch the world through a clear window. The street outside is soft and blue. Inside, a small lamp makes warm light on the table. You might hold a cup of tea and see the steam rise. You might not think about the thin, hard surface between you and the night air. But that surface changes everything. It keeps the wind away, and it lets the light stay with you. Why can we feel safe while we still see the rain? Why do we trust a small bottle to carry clean water or sweet juice? Why does a bright room make us feel calm and hopeful? How did one simple material move from rare treasure to everyday home life? And why did people work so hard to make it clearer and stronger? Today we will learn English through a real story in simple language. We will follow glass, windows and bottles and see how it changed daily life. Listen, then repeat and shadow, and your speaking will feel smoother. At first, glass was not an everyday thing. It could shine like water, but it could also stay still like stone. Many old accounts describe people staring at it in surprise. Because making it was hard, glass was rare, so it often appeared in rich places, not in ordinary homes. People treated it with care, like a small treasure. Imagine a house without glass windows. You have openings in the wall for air and for light. But when the weather changes, you must cover those openings with cloth, wood, or other materials. On cold nights, the room can feel dark and smoky. On rainy days, water can enter and the floor can stay wet. Because of this, people gathered close to the fire. The home felt smaller and the outside world felt too close. Now imagine the first time someone placed a piece of glass in a wall opening. It did not need to be big or perfect. It could be thick, cloudy, and full of tiny bubbles. But it could let light in while keeping wind out. That was a turning point. Because the inside space became more protected, it could also become more comfortable. So people began to dream of brighter rooms and quieter nights. And those dreams pulled glass into daily life. Listen to this phrase, let the light in. Say it with me. Let the light in. It is simple, but it carries a feeling. When a room has light, it feels open. When it feels open, people feel hopeful. And hope is a quiet kind of strength. It does not shout, but it stays. That is why light matters in a home. Early window glass was often uneven, so windows stayed small. Still, even a small window changed habits. You could wake up with morning light instead of only firelight. You could work near the window and see colors better. You could read more easily if you had a book. Because of glass, the home could feel less like a closed box and more like a safe shelter with a view. So families began to build small routines around the window. Glass also changed the way people stored food and drink. Before bottles, many liquids were kept in clay jars or wooden barrels, which could leak and be hard to clean. A glass bottle is smooth, so it can be washed and used again. Because it does not easily keep smells, it helps a drink stay fresh. Some sources describe a key skill, shaping hot glass with breath and tools. That made round forms easier to create. So bottles slowly became more common. Still, for many families, a glass bottle stayed special. It might hold perfume, medicine, oil, or a drink saved for a celebration. It was used with care, like a small treasure in the home. Why does a clear bottle feel honest? Why do we like to see what is inside? When you can see the liquid, you can judge it. You can notice if it is clean, and you can notice if it has changed. So glass did not only carry water or oil, it carried trust. And trust is part of what makes a home feel like home. In busy towns, travellers carried small bottles and pieces of glass from one market to another. People saw them, touched them, and wanted them. Because demand grew, more workshops appeared, and skills spread from teacher to student. So glass slowly moved closer to ordinary streets. How did that happen without losing quality? And what happened when speed became more important than patience? These questions lead us to the next turning point. There is another side to this story: colour and meaning. People learned to make glass in green, blue, and deep red. In some places, coloured glass turned sunlight into stories on the wall and floor. Even if the details are complex, the feeling is clear. Because light can move the heart, people used glass to create beauty, memory, and tradition. And when later methods made clear glass cheaper, the older craft did not disappear. It stayed because people still wanted beauty in their home and hope in their community. Repeat after me. This is my home. This is my home. When people looked through a window, they could see the street and still feel protected. When they held a bottle, they could carry a drink and still feel prepared. So glass began to shape daily life, little by little. Makers kept trying to improve it, making it clearer, flatter, and stronger. Because small changes could bring big changes to homes, the search continued. And this is how we move toward the next turning point, when glass begins to leave the hands of a few skilled makers and enter the lives of many ordinary families. As glass became more common, the idea of the home began to shift in a quiet way. People did not suddenly build new lives overnight, but they started to notice small improvements, and those improvements changed their daily rhythm. A room with a window could hold warmth longer. That meant less time feeding the fire and more time doing other things. Because the inside stayed more stable, people could plan their day with more confidence. They could cook, sew, or write near a steady light. Why does steady light make work feel easier? Why does a calm room help the mind feel calm too? When the air is not fighting you, you stop fighting back. And that is how comfort becomes part of survival. Over time, makers found better ways to shape glass into flatter pieces. Many accounts suggest this was not one simple invention, but a long series of improvements. Each step mattered. A smoother surface meant clearer vision. A larger sheet meant bigger windows. So windows grew. And as they grew, the home opened up to the world without losing safety. You could watch the weather and still stay dry. You could see who was coming and still feel protected. That simple balance helped people feel secure. Here is a small mini mystery. When you can see outside more easily, do you go outside more often or less? In many cases, seeing the world can make you curious. It can pull you toward the street, the garden, the sky. But at the same time, it can also make staying home feel less lonely. If you can watch the world, you do not feel cut off. So glass helped people feel both connected and safe. This is how a material can change feelings, not only buildings. Now think about bottles again. A bottle is a simple object, but it can carry many stories. It can carry water on a long walk. It can carry milk for a child. It can carry oil for cooking. It can carry medicine when someone is sick. Because glass is smooth and hard, it can keep a liquid separated from the outside air. That matters because air can change taste and quality. So glass helped people store things longer. And storing things longer can change a family's choices. If you can store oil safely, you can cook differently. If you can store clean water, you can travel more confidently. If you can store medicine, you can care for someone at home. So the home becomes a place of kindness, not only a place to sleep. Say it with me. We take care of each other. We take care of each other. This phrase is simple, but it is a strong tradition in many homes. Glass tools help that care become easier in daily life. As the years passed, glass entered kitchens and living rooms in new forms. People used jars to keep food dry and safe. They used simple glasses to drink. They used small lamps with glass parts to protect a flame from wind. Because of these objects, the home felt more organized. When you can see what you have, you waste less. When you can store food, you worry less. And when you worry less, you feel more hope. But this is also where the story becomes complex. When a new material becomes popular, people want more of it. That demand pushes makers to work faster and cheaper. Some accounts suggest quality varied. Some glass broke easily. Some bottles leaked. So people had to learn new habits too. They learned to hold glass carefully. They learned to store it safely. They learned that a clear window can break in a storm. They learned that a bottle can fall and shatter. Why do we accept something fragile in our home? Why do we bring breakable beauty into our daily life? Because we choose benefits even when there is risk. We choose light, we choose comfort, and we choose a feeling of order. Now we reach the second turning point. Glass becomes part of wider daily life, not only for the rich or the powerful. As production improved, more families could afford simple glass. This changed the look of streets and towns. Shop windows are one example. A shop with a large window can show goods to people walking by. Because people can see, they can desire. And because they desire, they can buy. So the street becomes more active and trade becomes more lively. This also changes how people use time. People may walk more slowly, looking at displays. They may plan purchases. They may compare goods. So glass helps shape modern shopping habits, even if it starts in a simple way. But the story is not only about selling, it is also about learning. In some places, schools and workrooms used windows to bring in more daylight. More daylight can support reading and careful work. So glass can support education and skill. This is a bridge moment in the story. Old homes used cloth and wood to cover openings. That tradition did not fully disappear. Instead, it adapted. People still used curtains, shutters, and coverings for privacy and warmth. But now those coverings worked with glass, not against it. You could open the curtain to invite light. You could close it to feel private. So an old habit gained a new meaning, not only blocking the world, but choosing when to connect with it. Listen to this phrase. I need a little privacy. Repeat after me. I need a little privacy. Privacy means you can be yourself without eyes on you. Glass made more light possible, and curtains helped keep the home gentle and personal. And there is another mini mystery. When a home becomes brighter, does it feel warmer emotionally too? Many people would say yes. A bright room can support kindness. It can make faces easier to see. It can invite conversation at the table. Because of that, glass becomes part of family life. It frames moments. A child drawing near the window. A parent washing a bottle. Friends sharing tea on a rainy day. These are small scenes, but they build a feeling of home. Still, not everyone welcomed change in the same way. Some people worried about safety. Some people worried about cost. Some people preferred older methods they trusted. The story is complex, and different places changed at different speeds. But the direction was clear. Glass kept moving into daily living. It carried light, it carried trust, and it carried hope in small, steady ways. And as we move forward, we will see how modern glass becomes even more present. So present that we almost stop noticing it, even while it continues to shape our lives. In the modern world, glass is everywhere in the home, so common that it becomes invisible. You wake up, and the first thing you notice is not the window itself, but the morning light on the wall. You may open a curtain and look out at the sky. The glass stays quiet, doing its job. It holds back cold air and noise, and it lets the day arrive gently. How did we reach a point where this once rare treasure became a normal part of survival? How did a fragile material learn to live with busy families, playful children, and strong weather? One reason is that glass changed again. Makers learned to make it more even, more clear, and also safer. Safer means it is less likely to break into sharp pieces, or it is stronger in daily use. Different places use different methods, but the goal is the same: protect the home. Another change is the way windows are built. Many homes use 2 layers of glass with a small space between them. This helps keep heat inside in winter and keeps heat outside in summer. It's like a warm jacket for your room. Because the room stays comfortable, families can save energy and feel calmer. A steady space supports kindness. When people are not too cold or too hot, it's easier to be patient with each other. But comfort also changes our habits. If the window keeps the room quiet, you may read longer. If the window keeps the room bright, you may work or study near it. So glass supports daily routines, and routines become a tradition in the home. There is also the story of the view. Modern windows can be larger, sometimes wall-sized. That can feel like living inside a picture. A tree becomes part of your room. A rainy street becomes a moving painting. Why do people love big windows, even when they can feel exposed? Why do we want the outside world close, while we also want privacy? This is the old balance again: connection and protection, side by side. So people adapt. They use curtains, plants, and soft screens. They choose when to open and when to close. The old idea of closing the house becomes a new idea, shaping your own space. Inside the home, glass also appears in smaller ways. Think of the drinking glass on a table. Think of the jar with rice, coffee, or spices. These objects help a kitchen feel clean and organized. A clear jar shows what you have and what you need. Because you can see, you can plan. And when you can plan, you feel a quiet hope instead of stress. Glass brings another gift. It does not easily take smells. That is why many people prefer it for storage. It supports simple, healthy habits, like saving soup for tomorrow or keeping tea leaves dry. Now consider bottles again, but in a modern world. Bottles travel farther than before. They move through shops, homes, and restaurants. They carry water, milk, juice, oil, and many other drinks. As this system grew, people also noticed a problem: waste. If we throw bottles away, we lose material and we create mess. So another bridge moment appeared. Many communities returned to an older idea: reuse. Reuse is not a new invention. It is a tradition. People have always washed and kept useful objects. In modern life, that old habit gains new meaning because it protects the planet and it reduces costs. Some places use return systems, where bottles go back to be cleaned and used again. Other places focus on recycling, which means turning old glass into new glass. The details differ, but the heart is the same: gratitude for what we have and care for what comes next. This part of the story is still changing. In some homes, people choose glass bottles and jars because they feel solid and honest. In other homes, people choose lighter materials because they are easier to carry. There is no single perfect answer, but it is clear that glass keeps a strong place in daily living. It is not only useful, it also carries feelings. A glass bowl on the shelf can hold fruit, and it can also hold memories of family meals. A window can hold light, and it can hold a moment of peace. You might stand there at night and watch small drops of rain. You might see streetlights become soft circles, and you might feel your thoughts slow down. Have you ever noticed how glass changes sound? A closed window can make the world quiet enough to hear your own breath. In that quiet, you can feel home more clearly. And there is another gentle question. What do we really want from a home? Is it only a roof and walls? Or is it a place where we can rest, learn, and be kind? Glass cannot create love by itself, but it can support the conditions for love. It can bring light for reading and cooking. It can keep warmth inside during hard seasons. It can help carry clean water and safe food. And in small ways, it can help a family practice kindness. So when you look through a window tomorrow, you can feel a small gratitude. When you wash a jar and use it again, you can feel a small hope. These feelings are quiet, but they build a better life. The story of glass is the story of people trying, failing, improving, and sharing knowledge. It is the story of survival turning into comfort, and comfort turning into tradition. And it is the story of light finding its way into ordinary rooms again and again. Tonight, if you are near a window, take one slow look outside, then one slow look inside, and notice how the home holds you gently in the warm light.